What's up, guys? Let's start today with some massive news. Massive, huge news in the Priestley household. I've been wanting to tell you this for some time now. I've been waiting for the right moment. Particularly, this is a good one for Wilson fans. We're getting another one. We're getting another doggy. Just like Wilson, although a smaller version. A puppy, another Australian Shepherd, a brown one, is coming to our house in just over, well, nearly a couple of weeks. So when I get back from Australia, we're going to pick the little guy up. Wilson's getting a bro. Now, the reason I'm telling you, and I'm obviously very excited by this prospect, everybody I've told so far, in terms of friends and family, most of them, their first reaction have been, are you mad? Already got 4 children, already got a dog, building work going on, utter chaos in your life, and you're now adding a little puppy to that mix. I know, on the face of it, it seems crazy, but I want Wilson to have a little buddy, a little playmate for when I'm not here. You know, I know it's going to be hard work in the beginning, but look, our life's always absolutely crazy and chaotic, so why not add another one? So there we go, that is happening. And the reason I'm telling you is because we haven't got a name yet. So please help. I'll show you a picture if I've got one. I'll pop it up on the screen. But we need a name for the little guy. He's going to be about 8 weeks old when we get him. He's basically a kind of a brown, black and white version of Wilson. And Diddy, tiny. So yeah, let us know if you think of any names. If anything pops into your mind, please feel free to send in some suggestions, because we're struggling at the moment. But I'm really excited! Right, with the Formula E race coming up this weekend, today's vlog's going to be mainly around Formula E. Now, 2 things that I really want to talk about, which are kind of topical, I guess, in Formula E right now. One is the fact that with the announcement and the revealing of the Season 5 car, that dramatic new Formula E car that you must have all seen by now, looks stunning and is going to transform the way Formula E races unfold. No more mid-race car swaps, because the new battery supplied by McLaren will now last for the entire race, as opposed to what we have now with this enforced mid-race car swap where the drivers come in, leap out of one car and into the other to do the second stint. So with the new car, that doesn't happen, and so there was some concern about there not being a strategy element to racing at that point, if it's just a lights to flag, flat out sprint to the finish. So what the rule makers have come up with, and I like this idea, is that they have gone for a system of 2 different power modes. I think they're going to be fairly dramatically different, probably creating a lap time difference of around about a second a lap, so that's pretty serious. And the idea is that, full details are yet to be announced, but the idea is that a driver will be able to, or will have to use both power modes throughout a race at different times. Now, they're still to work out whether that means that the whole first stint, for example, has got to be done in one power mode and the second stint in the other power mode, or vice versa. Or can the driver and team decide at which points in the race they want to use the higher power mode, for example? Can they use it as a push to pass type system to effect an overtake? So lots still to be worked out, but what it should do is give us some really interesting strategy. And that's exactly what we need. We've had it in Formula E in its current form, and I kind of like it. I've grown to enjoy the mid-race car swap part of the race. And so this new power mode switching idea is their way of trying to do that again. Wilson, come here. They talked around lots of different ideas. One of the obvious ones was perhaps going for degrading tyres like we have in Formula 1, forcing people into a mid-race tyre swap, pit stop. But you know, that doesn't really fit with Michelin, the sole tyre supplier in Formula E, doesn't fit with their ethos and their reasoning for being in Formula E in the first place, which is to promote their core product of road tyres. So to come up with a tyre that essentially isn't very good, if you're a road car customer, one that wears out very quickly, that kind of goes against, you know, as I say, goes against their kind of reasoning for being involved in the first place. So that idea was a non-starter. And so we've ended up with this power differential, or different power usage in the race. I want to know what you think, of course. I kind of like it. I can see it working out quite well. I can see it giving us some quite interesting strategic options as we go through a new race next year. The other thing that I want to talk about, and this has been quite controversial in Formula E circles, is the recent abolishment of the minimum pit stop time. Now, if you're a fan of Formula E, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you've not really been following it, up until recently, the cars would cross the timing line coming into the pit lane, and they'd obviously cross it again going out of the pit lane, and in the middle of that, they had to have their pit stop, their car swap. The teams would then strap the drivers into the new car and then be sat there waiting at the pit box, waiting to leave with a guy on the stopwatch, timing it to perfection, so they essentially crossed the pit exit timing line as they went over the minimum time for that pit stop. It was all done in terms of making sure that the drivers were safely strapped into the cars, that it wasn't a rushed process. And look, it kind of worked okay, it was fine. It didn't... Wilson, no, come down here. Come down here. Come down here. Then they decided they were going to get rid of it, and pit stops would be an absolute free-for-all, and whoever did the fastest one would gain an advantage in the race. Now, my first thoughts on that were, you know what, I like it. This is a team sport, it's a competitive sport. If somebody can do a better job and have a well-drilled pit stop practice, you know, then they should benefit from that. They should be rewarded for it. Of course, there's a safety element to that, but look, think about Formula 1, and I know we're talking about drivers' belts here. Is that any less safe than a car leaving the pit stop in Formula 1 without a wheel connected or bolted on properly? You know, a car getting up to 200 miles an hour and then the wheel falling off, that's not pretty safe, not very safe either. So you have to have some sort of punishment for a car leaving the box in an unsafe manner. And you know, the belts have to be tight, obviously, but I kind of think that it can provide some kind of spectacle to the show. And what we're seeing in the last race, particularly in Mexico City, was that teams are doing exactly that. Incredibly impressive pit stop driver changes, where they're putting everything together, looking for the finer details, as people in motorsport generally tend to do, looking for any kind of advantage, no matter how small it might be, choreographing the pit stop to the absolute finest details. What we had in Mexico City were some incredibly impressive pit stops, but we also had an incident where one of the Techeetah mechanics was injured, not seriously luckily, but was hit as the car was leaving the box. And there's been a bit of a I think at least a knee-jerk reaction to this, in that everybody's now saying, well, absolutely, that's, you know, we knew that was going to happen. That's proving a point that these should never have minimum pit stop time should never have been abolished. It's dangerous, we're putting people at risk. Motorsport is a risk, okay? I got involved in motorsport. I was involved in pit stops for many, many years. I took that risk on board. You know, we as a team made the risk as small as we could possibly manage. But overall, I was absolutely, you know, willing to do it and happy to do it, because I was competitive and I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be part of the very best team. I wanted to have an advantage over our competitors that I could affect, that I could be part of. And it was the biggest buzz that I've ever had in motorsport, being part of pit stops. So I'm kind of all for making these pit stops a really competitive element in the sport. The argument against abolishing this minimum pit stop time, apart from the safety aspect of it, which I do get, of course, by the way, the other argument was that these mid-race pit stops are going next year. So we're halfway through now season 4, so only half a season left, and then the whole process is gone. So with teams now having to spend quite a lot of time and effort, you know, perfecting this procedure, making it part of their performance differential, in half a season's time that'll be gone. Like a Formula 1 pit stop is absolutely a part of the show, let's make the driver swap part of that show as well. But it kind of seems like a little bit too late in the day to do it, you know. Anyway, I want to know what you think, of course. As I said yesterday, I will be on air, lead commentator on Formula E Radio. I'm joined by Harrison Newey for the first time. Looking forward to that. And Emma Walsh as well will be with us. She is a regular on the show. She'll be looking after all the social media interaction over the course of the day. So please do get any comments you might have into all of us. Emma will be across them. We'll get as many read out and questions answered on air as we can. You can follow coverage, the audio coverage that we provide through the Formula E website or through the TuneIn app, TuneIn Radio app. We'd love to have you with us. Really do appreciate anyone who joins us and lets us know that you're joining us, and we'll try and give you a shout out. There you are. If you haven't yet given Formula E a try, I thoroughly recommend it. You know, make this the weekend that you just experience it for the first time. Open your mind, give it a go. You know, you never know, you might just like it. All your preconceptions of what Formula E might be could be blown out the water, who knows. I did a video a while back, 10 reasons to watch Formula E, so I'll link that in the description underneath the video. Click on it if you haven't seen it. Might be worth a watch. Another busy day today. I'm now in North London picking up a carpet which was supposed to be delivered, and the couriers couldn't get it to us in time. So there was no other solution than me to drive into London and come and pick it up. So here I am. It does mean that some of the other things on my list today are not going to get done. Most notably, a barnet cut. And I've still got at least 4 hours worth of Formula E research to do. Slightly out the Formula E loop, having missed the last race. I've watched it, of course, but not been involved with it. You don't pay quite the same attention as you do when you're working on it. So really got to get into that, find out what's going on, what's been going on, what are the stories, speak to some people, make some notes so that I'm as ready as I can be for tomorrow's race. Right, I need you to get active, get busy in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on the various Formula E talking points that I've mentioned, and most notably, I want to hear your names for Wilson's little baby brother. Looking forward to reading all of those. So thanks very much, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Like the video if you have enjoyed it. Please do share it around as ever. Subscribe to the channel, and on Monday we'll be heading to Australia for the first race. Just over a week to go before we get racing again in 2018. Can't wait.